at him, he's kind of able to do it. He hasn't shown an issue in terms of having the pressure getting to him. And I think that's probably why, they were comfortable with that long-term deal. And, it was a pay increase that, he's going to have to show a lot now. But I think he's shown that he's more than capable of it.
Oh, 100%. And really, it's more of a just keep doing what you're doing, right? The progression will come naturally, with experience. He's only 22 years old. But the time he's 3, 4, 5 years into the league, he's going to know exactly what to do, how to, what to do on the ice, what to do off the ice. He'll be a great leader in the locker room, on the ice. He's going to be a great Maple Leaf. I have no doubt about that. But he had some interesting comments, and you brought up the word pressure, which I thought was very, obviously you brought that up for a reason, because that was one of the comments that's making the rounds from earlier today at Media Tour. And he said, quote, "Everyone's always going to tell you the cliche that pressure is a privilege and stuff, but I think it's honestly so much fun that there's so many people so invested in our group. I'd be upset with fans if they weren't happy, or if they weren't unhappy with my game if I wasn't playing well." Matthew Nice told Joshua Cloak of The Athletic earlier today. And that's an interesting take. That's clearly very different from the Mitch Marner answers that he's given over the years.
Yeah, and he also was talking to Ellie Friedman in Kalbukauskas on 32 Thoughts, and they asked him about the Game 7 loss. And he's like, I was a little bit pissed off. It sucks to be sitting on the couch. He has a very different response to not even what Marner has said, but also what Austin Matthews has said, but also what William Nylander has said. He hasn't been through he's obviously been through a couple of tough playoff exits, but he doesn't have the same mentality as the other players have had when it comes to it. He's pissed off. You move on from it, but also understand that things need to be different. I think he gets it a lot more in terms of what is needed from himself, but also the rest of the team. You should be pissed off that what happened. You should be wanting to change things because you don't want to be going through it all over again. So I find the maturity of him to be quite, it's refreshing considering what we've kind of had to deal with. We've had, not us have to deal with, but what we have seen from these players the last few years.
It's just a different disposition, right? And we've been clamoring for that for years, that there's so many passive guys, especially within the core. And now finally the Maple Leafs have, an aggressor in the core. They have their, Brady Tkachuk, their Matt Tkachuk. They have a power forward who can go out there and physically dominate and also dominate on the scoreboard as well, right? And someone who could go out there and play 20, 22 minutes a night and lean on you and be hard to play against. So the Leafs were looking for that. And someone who also just shows a little piss and vinegar. We've seen him drop the mitts and fill someone's face in. He can do that too if you get under his skin. So he is a very different player than what this team has had in the past in terms of core guys. And now, he's going into what's going to be his third full season in the NHL at this point. I think he's ready to kind of take that leap and go from being a good player for the Maple Leafs to being, not only a core player, but an elite player in the NHL. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. I've got his over-under total from FanDuel of what they think his points total is going to be. So I've got a best bet for you guys coming up this season if you want to make a wager. So you can do that. And I'll tell you what that is next. But also, what are our expectations of him moving forward and his own expectations? He spoke on that as well. So we'll get to all that and more next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. It fits however I like to bet, whether I'm betting on player props, building a same-game parlay, live betting. It all is great. It makes the game more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineups. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add just a little more energy to your Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morisuti with you on a Tuesday. Just a reminder that the podcast is now available 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, wherever you can find your podcast. You can also find Locked On Leafs on YouTube as well. Hit subscribe. That'd be greatly appreciated as well. So last season, Dave, you consider it a breakout for Matthew Knies. 29 goals, 29 assists for 58 points last season. Pretty good for a sophomore, I would say. What are your expectations for him going into his third season in the NHL?
I expect just another step, right? Just him I think right now taking a little more leadership, understanding that he has now got to be he's not just a passenger. Well, I wouldn't say passenger. He's not like the third guy on the top line. He is now being promoted to the sidekick.
He's Robin. He's now Robin.
Yeah. Big Robin, but he's a Robin on that line. Like I think he understands that, with Marner gone, someone has to fill a void. And I think the pressure falls on him. And, it all goes to the contract that he got, the fact that, they didn't really get anybody to replace Marner, and, you kind of hope for a little bit of that internal development too. And I think that's where, like, personally, that's where I see him taking that big step, is that with more responsibility, he should be able to be taking a bigger step because of that.
Absolutely. I mean, not only is he going to be factored in on, Matthew's wing as kind of his partner for the foreseeable future, but, he can easily take on those penalty killing and power play minutes that Mitch Marner left behind. And I know that Knies was on the power play for the back half of last season, but now you figure if Marner's not there, are they still going to run a 5-man unit? I'm not sure. So you probably end up getting Morgan Riley or OEL back on that power play, but Matthew Knies can stay there, right? You're probably going to run Knies, Matthews, Tavares, Nylander, and one of Riley or Oliver Ekman-Larsson. But that's a spot where he is going to stay up on the top power play unit. And again, he can take over. He was killing penalties last year. Now he can take on a more prominent role killing penalties if he wants to, or if Craig Berube wants him to do that. But he knows that he's going to be expected to alleviate some of what was left by Mitch Marner. And again, speaking with the media today, he said, quote, "I have to perform better and take on a little bit more ice time or take on a bigger role.